Welcome to School Scene. I'm Dan Bridges, Superintendent of Naperville Community Unit School District 203, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Karen Sullivan, Superintendent of Indian Prairie School District 204. Together, Karen and I are responsible for the education of 46,000 students in 55 schools across Naperville in areas of Aurora, Bolingbrook, Lisle, Plainfield, and Woodridge. Our mutual goal is to ensure each student receives a first-class education and leaves our districts well prepared for their next phase in life, whatever that may be. With the world of education constantly evolving, for the next half hour, we want to share with you, our community, some of the exciting new things happening with technology in the classroom and the impact it is having on our students' learning. To kick things off, Karen and I are joined by Roger Brunelle, Chief Information Officer for District 203, and Dr. Stacey Gonzales, Director of Instructional Technology for District 204. Roger, why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your role in District 203 and how that supports learning in the classroom?
Sure. I am the Chief Information Officer for the district, and I'm responsible for all the technologies, both the back end, which would be data centers, networks, connectivity, as well as the front end, which would be the devices and technologies in use in the classroom as well. So my team both implements and supports that and works closely with our Learning Services Department.
And Stacey, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do for 204?
Sure. So unlike Roger, I'm not responsible for all of the technologies, but I am responsible for some of the learning pieces that go along with implementing and integrating technology in the classroom. So my role is to work with teachers to leverage technology for student learning. So I really focus on spending a lot of time with teachers. How can technology help students learn in new ways?
Great.
Stacey, can you talk a little bit about how you envision technology as a tool for student learning?
Sure. So our students, we know, use technology all the time. And we know that they don't necessarily use it for academic purposes. We've all seen the students, the kids in the grocery store from 2 years old on their parents' iPad, iPhone, right? So our vision is really to help our students leverage technology for academic purposes. So we find ways that we can help our teachers understand how to write an email effectively. I mean, that's a skill our students really need to know how to do, as all of us do in our business every day. So some of those things are what we try to focus on with our students. So
the technology itself is not just about the machines and the devices that we're using. Roger, tell us a little bit about how the different types of technology support the instruction that's going on in the classroom.
There are quite a few types of technology that are in play, and if you think about what's in the classroom itself, you've got the devices that the students use. You could have things such as a smart board that the teachers might be incorporating with their lesson, document cameras and other audio enhancement systems and those type of things actually in the classroom. But behind all that, there's quite a bit of technology in terms of systems and applications that they use. Things like our learning management system, student information system, our analytics system that gives the teachers a view into the growth of a student. So it all plays together riding on this infrastructure, which is the backbone of the technology that gives the teachers access to everything they need to help educate the kids.
And so for us, that's really important. And the things that Roger does and our individuals in our district that does that is so important, because if those pieces aren't in place, our teachers can't do what they do best, which is teach our students. And we know between both of our districts, we really have the best teachers. And so what we really try to do is help our teachers take all the pieces that we've put in place and make it simple. Simple for the teachers to use and simple for the students to use, so that learning is really connected.
Great, interesting, very good.
You've alluded to it, but both of our districts are really working hard in this area of technology. Why is it so critical that we have technology in our classrooms?
We are no longer at a place where we can just hand kids a piece of paper and wait 2 days for them to get the feedback. There is so much that we have expected of our students. This world, we know the world has changed. The age of information is here. So we have to allow our students opportunities to figure out how to use that technology and use it effectively, along with our teachers. I give the example of how when I was in the classroom, I would give the students assignment. They would write out whatever they needed to write out. I would have to take all the time to grade it. And then maybe 2 days later, I'd be able to give the kids the feedback and maybe change my lesson to meet the needs of the kids. Today, I can be halfway through my class, have my kids fill something out on an electronic survey, maybe a document, and I can see immediately where my kids are in my class. And so really the kids are getting a personalized experience that meets each student in my class.
And Roger, it seems like, as Stacey's talking, we think about what happens in the classroom. Technology today allows us the opportunity to even do some things at home as a student. I'm thinking about a flipped classroom. Can you talk about the importance of technology and the infrastructure to support approaches like a flipped classroom?
Sure, and I wanted to add to what Stacey said. If you think about our children's lives after they leave their districts, it's hard to think of a scenario where they won't be using technology in whatever they do in terms of their college or their careers or their life path. So by putting technology in the classroom today and exposing them to that, I think we get the dual benefit of allowing things like a flipped classroom, like anywhere, anytime learning today, but we're also starting to position them for the future, because that's the world that they're going to live in. And with the pace of the change that's going on, people talk about 21st century skill sets. Well, that's 100 years. I think we need to be worried about the next 5 to 10 years because the rapidity of the change. And so the technology allows the teachers to embrace some of these things, like let the students review things at home and come in and have discussion time, which is the flipped classroom approach Dan's talking about. But absolutely. Yep.
And we know that our students are using technology at home because they are checking in. They are posting comments on things that teachers are putting out there, just like they're doing for social purposes, but we're helping bring it into academic purposes, which will really help them in their future endeavors.
What do you think teachers and students are most excited about when it comes to technology in the classroom?
I would say that, first of all, I'd say that the excitement extends way beyond the teachers and students. I know in District 203, we have a very supportive Board of Education, superintendent, his staff, and the building leaders themselves are very well embracing technology and support, have done some great things already and continue that. But it's specifically to the teachers, and I know you're going to be talking with a few teachers later. I think that, from my opinion, they would tell you they love the opportunities for collaboration, not only with the students, but with other teachers, both within and without of the district. They love the instantaneous communication that they can get. They love the ability to create content and use engaging digital content in their lesson planning, and all of the other things that opens up in flexibility and workflow efficiencies they gain by the use of technology. The students, I think, probably feel that the districts are now getting to where they've been for a while, and they probably are saying, yes, this is great. A lot of them are very astute technically and have exposure outside of the district to technology. So they probably feel the district is doing the right thing in bringing in the technologies that they are and allowing them to really take it and run with it.
Yeah, and many of our colleges today are having students provide video applications. So giving a 1-minute promo of who you are, concise, visually, that's really important. And that is a responsibility that we have to help our students do that. And so I think that they would say they are more prepared for the things that they're going to face in their future.
So you've both talked about how naturally the use of technology seems to come for our kids. Okay, so I think about myself in the classroom teaching. A lot of the things that we see our students using today and our teachers using in classrooms today didn't exist when I was teaching, and that's not too long ago. So can you tell me about the things that you do to support teachers with new technology to understand what it is, how it works, and how they can engage students in the learning process with those technologies?
Yes, thanks. So supporting the teachers is really important, and teachers are comfortable with what they know. So bringing them into that next level, we jumped onto your D203 chat the other day. We have IP Learns, which is our Twitter handle that we use for our teachers. They're sharing best practices, not only within the district, but across districts. And that's what makes the work that we're doing so powerful for our teachers, because we are really opening up the walls of the classroom. You know, in the 70s, we had the open classroom concept, right? And it looked very different. But right now, I can see what you're doing in your class because you're sharing it out. I can speak with Roger, he can share with me what you guys are doing as a district, and that really opens up better for all of us.
And I would add that when we look at best practices in terms of adopting technology, professional development is huge for our teachers. They really need the time to become familiar with it, to understand how they can use it in their classroom. And so when we look at technology, it's really not just for the tech's sake, it's more combined with our instructional methodology and our content and digital content and creative content that they use. We look at all three of those things together with our teachers and do professional development, because you get a synergy by looking at those things together that you don't get by embracing one alone. So, but I think it's huge to have their time and the differentiated learning. Not all teachers are at the same spot. And just as we differentiate learning for our students, we need to take a look at how to do that for our teachers in terms of adopting technology based upon where they're coming from.
Great.
Can you give us some idea, how do you think our districts compare to other districts across the nation in terms of where we're at with technology and its use in the classrooms?
I would say that District 204 and District 203 are viewed as thought leaders. We're often asked for our opinions and guidance from other districts. I think that, and one great example of this is the online learning consortium that we formed with our districts and District 200. That's a great example of districts combining efforts towards a common goal and to get benefits. And more of that, it needs to happen, because I think that's the way we have joint power together. 203 specifically, people would probably say that we are a leading edge adopter of technology, but we're intentionally not bleeding edge. We don't want to be the first one out of the gates. A lot of districts have done that and maybe have retrenched and said, let's try this again. We are very systematic about our technology adoption and purchases, and most of the time we work in concert with our teaching and learning staff to make sure what we're doing is in alignment with the district's mission.
And I would agree. We really work hard to ensure that the things we're doing are thoughtful and mindful and systematic. We put things in place that we know come from our teachers. We listen to what our teachers have to say. And so it'd be really easy for lots of the things we do to push it and say, this is it, this is what we're doing. But we really value the expertise. We have the best teachers in our district. And so using their knowledge and expertise to move things forward is critical.
I think Karen and I would agree. We do have the best teachers and best staff. Let's think about the future. What do you see coming in the future with technology that that may not be here now, which may be hard to believe? But where do you see the future?
You know, that's really hard to predict, because even in the last 5 years, there are things that are there that we never thought. I think you're going to see a lot more virtual working, virtualization, a lot more remote access, anywhere, anytime access to information. You'll probably start to see cross-district collaboration. You might see more districts bringing in access to local companies and having video conference chats, which they can do today, internships based upon accessing technologically between companies and students. There's so many avenues that this could go, but I really think that a lot of it's going to be driven by what the demands are for the kids post our school district. They're going to be expected to have certain skills when they leave, and I think that's going to do some pulling, and we have to do the best we can to push and keep them flexible and open.
I agree. We're going to work really hard to make sure that we continue to provide that first-class education that our students deserve.
That's really exciting. Thanks. So, what advice would you give to a parent who's trying to support their students with the use of technology at home? I
would say that be flexible and open-minded. There's a lot of things that our students today know that we weren't brought up that way, we weren't educated this way, and it's going to be an adjustment. And so keep an open mind, be flexible, don't fear the technology, do your best to put in appropriate controls and teach digital citizenship to your students and your children. And I think if that happens, I think it'll be a smoother path.
We'd like to thank our guests today, and when we return, Dan and I will talk to two teachers who will give us a first-hand account of how the technology we just discussed is working in their classrooms. Stay tuned for more School Scene.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
If you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Karen Sullivan, Superintendent of Indian Prairie School District 204, along with my co-host, Dan Bridges, Superintendent of Naperville Community Unit School District 203. And we're talking about technology in today's classrooms. Joining us now are Rhonda Jenkins, Library and Media Center Director for District 204, and Dave Sladkey, Naperville Central Math Teacher for District 203. So let's talk first a little bit about engaging students with technology. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in classrooms.
I just remember when I first started teaching, we had one computer in the classroom. Until today, what we've got bring your own technology. The kids bring their devices. We have more computers. They have iPads, iPods, iTouches, you name it. They've got everything to keep them engaged. And at Kendall, we have 3 wireless computer labs. We've got iPads, again, we've got iPods. So we have all the things necessary to engage them and motivate them for in that involved learning.
Dave, as Karen said, you're a math teacher at Central. So tell us a little bit about how technology has changed in the math classroom and how you're using that technology to really engage the kids in your class.
Oh, it's exciting. I teach intro to algebra, and I just want to say hello to my intro to algebra kids. And they are awesome. They have the laptops in there, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays they work with alex.com. It's a self-guided program, meets the student where they're at. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we typically work with the computers a little bit, and this last Wednesday, what we did is we did a little competition with the students, and it was a site, and 12 could join, and they were doing adding and subtracting out fractions. So the kids loved it. There was no pressure. It wasn't assessed or anything. Just some pure fun, but learning at the same time. And then also there's our Canvas learning management system that we can design quizzes and input numbers that renew each time. And so these kids can take the quiz, and we know right away if they are doing well or not. And we can go right to the student. My co-teacher and I go right there, and that's the beauty of technology. It's using technology as it should be.
Great.
Can I add to that?
Please.
One of the things that I really appreciate is how many companies are out there designing things that are free for teachers to use. One that I really enjoy using was called Educreations. So if in the math class, to teach a concept that the kids kind of struggle with, I could go on after school, record that same lesson in about 3-4 minutes, record it, show them on a whiteboard how to do it, remind them of the vocabulary, save it, send it home to their parents, and they can review it at home. And it's truly appreciated because then they remember what was taught during the daytime. So.
You've given some good examples, but when both Dan and I were teaching, we didn't have technology. So could you maybe give a little bit of an idea of what a traditional lesson might look like, what maybe Dan and I would have done, and what it now looks like with technology? Either one of you.
I was thinking of social studies. We teach this children at the beginning of the year mapping skills. So that typical lesson of the vocabulary, here's the map, how does it work? This is the north, south, east, and west, never eat soggy waffles. So all that basic stuff that the kids learn. But now, after we've taught that initial lesson, I can go and do a mystery Skype. So we choose a class, that collaboration again that this worldwide world opens us up to. You choose a class someplace in the world. It doesn't even have to be in the United States. And we set up a time to meet, and you're trying to figure out with closed-ended questions where the other class is, and you try to get there first. But it's, again, using that vocabulary. Are you west of the Mississippi? Are you in the Northern Hemisphere? Are you, any kind of question that would lead to being the first class to answer that question. It's completely run by the students. They all have their tasks, and I'm just the facilitator watching this progress. And at the end, there's this introduction that they do to each other, and they say, ask questions of that region or of that kind of suburb that they're in that they've learned. And so it's that openness with the rest of the world of how interactive and how close we truly are.
Dave, how about you?
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love that. I wish I could be in that class. But in kind of day-to-day stuff I had talked to a colleague just this week, and she, what she was doing is traditionally she would give a worksheet and have the students do the problems on the worksheet, and then they'd come up and present their problem. With technology, she's working with Padlet.com, and it's a posting site, and she gives each group a problem. They write the problem with whiteboard markers on their desk, and they take a picture or a video of themselves talking through the problem, and then they post it. And then she has them present, and it creates an accountability for these students that is not there before. It's just, I'm posting to the world, and they really have to think about how they answer, and they just put that much more thought, and I think they go deeper into the mathematics, which is what we want.
Right. I know in District 203 we're piloting some one-to-one through our digital learning initiative. District 204 has been in the forefront really of working on bringing your own technology devices. Dave, can you talk a little bit how things are going in 203 with what you're seeing in the digital learning initiative, and really what's kids' response to it?
Well, kids are a natural with technology. It's us that's a little bit, not so excited. And so I think that's the gap we're trying to get at. We're trying to get at, they're so natural with it, and the digital learning has been just a terrific program. It's kind of a test for us to see what ecosystem we want to go into. The kids' response, I just actually had my students give me some pros and cons, and they were all about the device. They weren't so much about the ecosystem, but it doesn't turn on all the time, or all these little things. But big picture, they have it every single day. And the students in my Intro to Algebra class, which we have an Instagram class, Instagram account, and I know you guys aren't yet on, but Rhonda, you can join maybe. It's Intro to Algebra, and follow us on Instagram. But the class, you'll see them using these devices. The students, they're loving this opportunity.
You're at the high school, the elementary school level, they're just as excited. In my role this year, I get to present to them how to use their Google Drive that we have. And their response is, cool, we get to do this? Really? No more paper? Yeah. So it's an awesome way for the kids to experience that interactive learning.
Great. What do you see as important things that we both need to do as school districts to help our teachers in this realm with technology? Because as you said, our kids are very much engaged in it.
Well, first of all, I think the teacher is more important than the technology. I really think that the technology is a complement. And so we try to bridge that gap a little bit, but the students, they'll catch on, but our teachers, we just have to give them a little bit more push and give them more opportunities to immerse themselves and see all the opportunities.
Right. It's the time for that development. There's always that learning curve that's hard to get over, but once you get over it, because they've made it so simple that it's easier then. But you do have to get over that first hurdle and have to be willing to do that because the kids are grabbing hold.
Yeah. And so the new technologies not only have impacted what you as teachers do in the classroom and working with your students, tell us a little bit how you've leveraged the use of technology to support your own professional collaboration and your professional learning.
Yeah, we have, I think it was mentioned before, is the D203 chat that we had just the other night. It was so exciting, just seeing teachers from all over, and not just in District 203, but get together on their own time and just learn together and explore.
And get together in a virtual environment.
Virtual, right. Twitter chat. And it was amazing, just the flow, and you participated. It was exciting, and I think when you learn from others in your realm, they kind of go through some of the bumps that you don't necessarily have to go through. And you learn from what they did, and maybe you have an example too about that too.
Yeah, we just have right now in 204 is PD in your PJs. And so at 9 o'clock we have a Twitter chat based on our book that we're all reading, that we've all signed up to read. And it was really exciting for the first time to go through it because you're just comfortable and you're just responding and sharing the ideas that are going on.
That's awesome.
So you're both in various roles. Talk a little bit, or tell us what you think, how this is all going to evolve. How is technology and learning going to evolve?
Technology is going to become the focal point, and we've got to get on that bus or it's going to leave us behind. I think of in the past when I was in school, I had to pull out book after book after book for research, but now it's as quick as a click. And yes, you have to make sure that that's viable information and valuable information, but that's how easy it's becoming for us and for our students as well.
Yeah, and the digital textbooks is kind of the area we're kind of heading, and I think that's going to be a big realm. Is we're not going to have 5 textbooks that are heavy in the backpack. We're going to have the laptop. It's going to be our device to get through all of those things, and that's exciting too. It's not just a static page. It's dynamic. It's interactive. The students are not just reading something that was made 10 years ago.
Dave, Rhonda, you both make me want to go back to the classroom and be a student, not just a teacher, just be a student in your classrooms. Thanks so much for sharing us all the exciting things that are happening.
Thank you.
Karen and I would like to thank our colleagues for joining us on this episode of School Scene and providing a more detailed look at what's happening in our classrooms in the area of technology. For more information about both school districts, please visit our websites. Until next time, I'm Dan Bridges. Thanks for watching.